Yeah, welcome. Thank you everyone for taking an hour out of your day to join us. We are really excited to be here to bring you this great content about landscape lighting. So I'm joined here today by Patrick Laidlaw and Ron Callis. And I'm Rebecca Sternlicht. I'm the corporate marketing lead here at One Firefly. So I help oversee all of our education and other marketing activities. So just really thrilled to be here today to present some great content. We will be sending out a copy of this deck as well as the webinar recording to everyone who's here and everyone who is registered for this webinar. So look for that in your inboxes tomorrow morning. And as Ron mentioned, our chat is open, our Q&A is open. Please drop any comments, questions that you have along the way. If we don't get to your question in the webinar, I will be collecting everything and we'll do a Q&A session at the end. I think, Ron, if you want to go to the next slide, and I will let the two of you do some introductions.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get agenda real quick. We're going to do introductions and then we're going to talk about the opportunity with landscape lighting with WAC and Aspire. Pro tips for dealers. Patrick's going to lay some knowledge on us and experience from his learnings over the years and obviously all the many, many relationships across the country that he knows very well. And then we're going to talk about how to take these ideas. Maybe you're a veteran at landscape lighting, maybe you're just getting into it. How do you make sure that your customers, both your customers are aware of what's possible, and then those in your market that you're not currently working with, but you'd love to be working with? How do we make sure they know to find you, so that you can help them with these cool solutions? Um, we promise, get to all of your questions and comments. Keep the comments clean, people. And but we'll get to all the questions. Rebecca's going to help moderate at the end, and depending on the situation or the question, maybe we'll even field it live. I'll just say real quick, I'm Ron Callis, CEO and founder of One Firefly. Been in the space a long time, and very honored and excited to be here with the one and only Patrick Laidlaw. I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here with you as well. Patrick Laidlaw, Director of Business Development for Integration for the Spire and WAC product lines. Been in lighting most of my life. Never been as excited as I am now about lighting and what integrators bring to the table with controls, with automation, with the new awareness, it seems, on health and wellness, the benefits of lighting to humans. Even the general public starting to pick up on some of this now. So I appreciate being here, and anything I can do to share knowledge, share information with integrators from either my own career or from what I picked up from other integrators across the country. That's my goal. So hopefully we'll help some people today.
I love it. Rebecca, we're going to kick this off with a poll.
Yes, we are. So let me launch this. Question here is, how often are you including landscape lighting in your projects today?
And excited to get your interpretation of these results, Patrick. And I'm wondering how this audience and kind of their answers are going to compare to maybe what you see out there in the field that's normal. At the moment, we've got almost 40% participation. It's going up quickly. We do name names of those that don't participate. So we do publicly scorn the guilty. So you've all been
I
warned.
hope I'm surprised, Ron. My guess is based on experience that maybe a lot of these people are not doing landscape lighting, but I hope that maybe a lot of them are and just here to get some additional tips. It's a great opportunity for integrators that is often missed, unfortunately.
Okay. Right now we're sitting at almost around 60% participation. We'll give us maybe just one or two more moments. Uh, the definition of a moment, I'm keeping that loose. Before we close out this poll, going once, going twice. I'd say let's go ahead and call it there, Rebecca. All right, Patrick, what do you think about this?
So always 15%, regularly it's about 30, occasionally, about half of you are occasionally, and 10% have never offered it. So that's surprising because there's a lot of integrators out there that are not offering landscape lighting at all. So the fact that 46%, if a client asks, are talking about it, I think that's actually pretty good, but also don't forget if a client doesn't know about something, they may not ask you. So we've got to make sure they understand that you do that. You're a specialist or have the opportunity to be a specialist in that category. And I know that there's a lot of integrators that are missing the opportunity because customers don't think of them for that. Remember, what 9, 10 years ago, they didn't think of integrators for shading, and 4 or 5 years ago, they didn't think of integrators for lighting. And lighting is part of the outside too. It all ties into the whole system. So we've got to make sure they're aware that we do that.
All right, love it. All right, Patrick, I'm going to go ahead and I'll be your clicker and I'll move you through the content here, but the
Okay.
show floor is yours, sir.
Great, great. So let's talk about the opportunity for dealers. Some of this goes back to when we first started in integration, what we learned, and some of this is going to be very, very current. So low voltage and easy to install, it's really important. And after a dealer's done their first landscape job, I can't tell you how many times we hear, "Oh, that was easy. It was just like outdoor audio." It's exactly the same as outdoor audio. You have a transformer, you add up the wattage, or what we call the VA, the voltamps of all the fixtures. You size the transformer accordingly. You're running low voltage cable out to the fixtures. And if you're already there, here's the thing that's kind of odd. Integrators are doing outdoor audio installs almost weekly, but they're not doing landscape lighting. And you can put the same wire in the same trenches. And even if you only do a few lights around the patio or wherever you're placing your speakers, it's an additional add-on sale, and you're saving the client a trip back because you're already there slitting the sod and tucking that wire in. So it's a super easy opportunity for integrators because it's all low voltage. The transformers are outdoor rated. They're stainless steel. They can go in a garage. They can go by the pool equipment. They have a 6-foot cord and plug. They just plug in. So it's super easy for integrators to deploy. Also, one of the things we heard very early on was, I don't want to compete with the builder. I don't want to compete with the electrician. When we talk about indoor lighting, integrators had a little bit of hesitancy. Well, outdoors, builders are not doing landscape lighting, and most electricians want to finish the job on the inside, and they're off to the next job. So it's a super easy opportunity for you to start talking about without competing in those other relationships. Right now, it's defaulted to sometimes the sprinkler guys because they're already putting tubing in the ground. Well, if we go on that premise, integrators should be doing landscape lighting because they're already putting wiring in the ground for speakers. So, and most sprinkler guys don't know anything about lighting either. So you at least have the power of AV integration landscape lighting companies behind you that will do the layouts for you and help you with the design. And then it's an additional revenue stream. So one of the things we talk about, and you'll see this in another slide coming up, is positioning yourself early. The opportunity to drop hints to the homeowners. A homeowner shows up to their dream home and it's a war zone. There's debris everywhere, mud everywhere, tractor tracks, pieces of lumber, and this is their dream home. They're certainly, after picking out a builder, an architect, the floor plan, all the wall coverings, the floor coverings, the paint, so many choices, they're not ready to talk about the outside. So you have an opportunity to position yourself early on by saying, hey, I'm going to run some PVC sleeves under the driveway before they pour concrete, under the walkways, under the patios. I'm going to be your best friend and your ally. I'm going to tell the electrician to put an outlet down by the mailbox 400 feet out by the dock. So when we're ready, and I know you're not there yet, but when we're ready to talk about the outside, we don't have to tear up your yard again. And they picture this beautiful green grass and flowers and then this war zone outside, and we're really doing them quite a favor. But then when the sprinkler guy says, hey, can I talk to you about landscape lighting? No, I've already got my trusted advisor, my trusted technology person who's already positioned for that, and has that prepared. So when we talk about what's the benefit to homeowners with landscape lighting, there's lots. We're not just doing an add-on sale for the integrator. I mean, we have to believe in the value that we're bringing to our clients. And the security is the number one thing one of the number one things landscape lighting can do. If you call any police department in the country, they'll tell you that lighting is the number one security system you can have. It deters more crime, and integrators install state-of-the-art security systems, but when somebody kicks a door in or a window in, that person could already be in the home before that security system goes off. So landscape lighting itself deters crime. So if you look at this picture, and I can't take credit for these pictures, there's a Facebook group called Landscape Lighting. It's a Facebook group by Magda Coletti. It's free to join. She's a lighting designer, and people post pictures on there. They talk about chats, challenges. Somebody posted this picture that was before and after. That is 8 landscape lights in the bottom, and the caption is what 8 landscape lights can do. Now, I don't know about you, Ron, but I know which home I would rather have my wife coming home to, or my daughter or son, or even myself late at night after a game. If I was of the criminal element, which home am I going to go to? The one nobody can see me on. And
I have a
so,
quick question, Patrick.
yeah,
I'm curious, let's take the audience that's tuned in.
sure.
Let's say our live audience here, just as a random accounting of businesses around the country. What, how often are they in the home doing work and no lighting is done in the landscape, either architectural, like lighting the facade, or lighting the overall landscape? Is it that someone else is going to do it if they don't raise their hand, or is that it's often simply not addressed?
In my opinion, it's both. I think that the comments I've gotten from some big integrators who don't do landscape lighting is we leave that to the outside people. And I scratch my head. I think, with current technology, it's all tied into the home control system too. And why would you leave it to who is the outside people? Is that the sprinkler guys or is that the landscapers? There are some big hardscape companies that have landscape architects who may specify lighting, but a majority of them don't. So to just make an assumption that somebody else is going to do it, or the homeowner may have, again, the sprinkler guys come, and I've seen invoices from sprinkler people when they've winterized some friends' houses, and it says at the bottom we do landscape lighting, and there'll be 5 hotspots on a house, and you don't even see any landscape. So yes, maybe it's providing some light on the house, maybe a little bit of security, but certainly not lighting the beauty of what landscape could be. And that
Makes sense.
Facebook group again is called Landscape Lighting. So if you go to your Facebook, you go in the magnification, is and Magda, Magda, I believe her name is Coletti, is the actual administrator on that group. So check it out. It's free and it's great to have. So, along with safety and security, we talk about safe passage. So, we live in a litigious society. It doesn't matter what happens. I tell the story all the time when we talk about landscape lighting and trainings. My brother went in my pole barn because, again, I live rural in Michigan. He went in my pole barn. He climbed up on a ladder, put something on a shelf, and jostled this big metal piece of art that had been there for years. And when he climbed down the ladder, it had rolled off the shelf and actually hit him in the back of the head, tripped to the emergency room. Long story short, his insurance company sued my insurance company. So it doesn't make any difference who it is. If it's a friend, a family member, whatever, there could be litigation involved. So we have to take every precaution we can for safe passage. Also, as people age, they start losing their depth perception. So any changes in elevation, slopes, steps, people do a lot of sunken pathways. They put the stones in the grass grows up in between. So if you're not doing a faux sod, that grass is going to grow up in between and it's a trip hazard. And we can guide people with light. So if your house is on a hill, maybe your yard goes down to the lake and you've got a dock out there, you come in after hours, you've been watching the 4th of July fireworks with friends, they've got to make their way back up to that house. And if we have an illuminated path, they'll follow that safe path. If not, they're fumbling through the darkness across your yard. They could roll an ankle on some landscaping or walk through the fire pit. Who knows what they could run into. So people will naturally follow light. So safe passage is a great way to guide guests and take people around. And then usability. Usability is amazing because the average cost on a high-end home will be 5 to 10% of the cost of the project for good hardscape and landscaping. So a $10 million home might have $500,000 to $1 million in hardscape and landscape. And they pick out all these beautiful things, spend all this time like on the inside of the home, and then it's dark outside. You don't see any of it at night. It doesn't make any sense. And so water features and statues, particular trees, all are incredibly beautiful at night. But you can also go in your backyard for like the picture shown here, this backyard, you can sit out there with friends and play cards. The kids can run around. You can just sit and relax without glare bombs, these traditional 2 spotlights coming off the back of the house where you only have glaring light for anybody facing it and you're sitting in your shadow and can't do anything if you're facing away from it. So it's a much better way to enjoy everything you've worked for and just have some unwind time at home and at night.
I'm sure you'll touch on this, Patrick, but I'm just curious if people have a project, this is their house, their client's house, and they're your dealer, they buy and install your gear. Do you help them design this or recommend layouts that they could recommend to a consumer? And
Yes,
how does
correct.
that work?
Yes, we've got a complete design service. It's absolutely free. We have an intake form that we ask you to fill out to give us some guidance on if they're looking for a static white product or maybe tunable white with color. And then do you want us to only light what they specify, make suggestions, or light it all? And that kind of gives us an idea of what to spend our time on. We like to know where the location of the power is because everything starts from there, but we'll lay out wire runs. We'll do all the calculations, the wattage calculations and everything. So really you have a couple of options. You can go out there and stick different color flags in where accents and paths go, so your team can come and do a quick install. Or if you partner with a landscaper, we'll talk about that in a minute, you can have them come out and install. So it's really quite easy, but we do all that layout for you. And we're also introducing at Laidapalooza next week a configurator that we've developed where integrators, if they feel comfortable enough, can go on and do their own landscape layouts with this configurator, and it puts the power back in their hands if they want to be able to control the whole process. So beauty is another advantage to landscape lighting, Ron, for the clients. Again, people spend a lot of money on field stone, ledge stone, any craftsmanship, workmanship, and we can light that from the outside and enjoy it even in the evenings. So focal points, again, we talk about architectural features. Think about roof lines. There's some crazy roof lines on houses out there because of the way people love their home to look. And at night you drive by and they put recessed in the soffits and it's half a house. The whole top half of the house is gone. And you'll see a whole bunch of half houses in high-end neighborhoods. And so we have gutter mounts that we make, and you can put mini accents on those gutters and light up peaks and roof lines, cupolas. We also put them underneath to light up peaks to fill out the rest of the home in that picture. And we can keep a very tight beam spread so it doesn't go into windows. So it just completes a picture of the architecture. And in this picture, you're looking at the left side where you wall wash. You actually put a floodlight against a wall, and you see how flat that surface looks. And on the right, we're doing a technique called grazing, where we actually, the light is actually put up tight against the workmanship, anything, the craftsmanship, and all of the stone in the dimension comes out. You can create some really interesting and beautiful pieces of art out of the materials that's used in the home, the building of the home. So you can get that resort-like feel as it lists there. Now, one of the interior benefits to landscape lighting is extending the living area. And when we say it extends the living area, people really have no idea what we mean. And I want to tell a quick story and then I'll, refer to these pictures. But there was a job we did in South Bend, Indiana, and it was about 125 fixtures. An integrator did the job. It was a double lot. It wasn't an affluent area, but a double lot. And in this second lot, they had big oaks and a little water feature and a fire pit and sitting area. The neighbors came over about a week or two after the project was done and talked to the homeowners and said, we never sat in our front room. And now every night, my husband and I get a glass of wine. We go sit in that room and we look across at the Wonderland. The neighbors even enjoyed the beauty. So when we talk about extending the living area, this is a before shot. On your left-hand side, if you're looking at your screen like I am, your left-hand side is a before shot. This was done in Washington by an integrator. And that you can see in those glass panes the interior of the home. You see some steps going up in that middle panel. The left panel, that bright light spot is a shoulder of the person taking the picture. It's called the black mirror effect. And if you don't have any light outside, you have a black coating on the back of glass creates a mirror, and that's what the darkness does. And then you have that same room on the right-hand side. Think about how comfortable you'd be sitting in there if the wind was blowing. You have an organic movie, the trees and limbs blowing around. You can enjoy looking outside. You feel safe because nobody's lurking out there. You can see that it's perfectly safe. But what a beautiful picture and what landscape lighting does to extend the living area. So it's, again, a lot of peripheral benefits. And then with landscape lighting, we can talk about color. We always talk about tunable white first. So in standard landscape lighting, there's specific color temperatures you choose, but that may not always be the right color temperature. Just like inside the home, we have products that have tunable white, and then you have color on board as well. So I call it free color. And a lot of times when we're talking to homeowners about color, we lead with tunable white because in Michigan, in the northern part of the country, we have evergreens, and you can make an evergreen look amazing and alive with cooler light on it. But a Japanese maple is reds and has a lot of reds and oranges. And so we put a warmer color temperature. A log home will use a warmer color temperature. A colonial or contemporary home that's white, we don't want to throw a warm color temperature on there. It'll look dirty and dingy. So tunable white gives us the ability to create scenes on the day-to-day. And then the color that's included in that, well, a lot of times the homeowner, the missus, at least my wife would say, "No way, you're not turning my house into a man cave." And because they're picturing Ferrari red, cobalt blue, team colors, they just picture this Vegas style scene. And what we can create is backyards like this that could be really warm and inviting, like the red on the right. Or there's customers that love periwinkle or a soft spa-like feeling they can create in the backyard to go out and relax in. So it doesn't have to be these bold statement colors. It can really be relaxing. And a lot of our colorscaping product will do that. So why homeowners, what's the reason that they would want to buy landscape lighting besides all the wonderful things we just shared with you that you're providing for them and giving to them? Value is one of the biggest. Landscape lighting, it not only brings a property to life, like look at that home. Imagine if it was not lit up and that landscape was not lit up to create those tiers and show that depth in that scene. But the National Association of Realtors did a poll or did a survey after COVID, and they came up with a list of the top 11 things you can do to add value to your home. The number one was a pool. And before COVID, people were filling in pools. They were a liability. But after COVID, people want to spend time outside. They're at their home more and they want to enjoy that space more. They realize the value and the respite that a home can be. So number one is a pool. Number two is landscape lighting. And number three was a new deck. So once people have had landscape lighting, they will look for it in future homes. They don't want to be without it. It's kind of like a gateway drug. You can't watch a movie and only eat one kernel of popcorn. You just keep going back for more. And landscape lighting is like that. So even if you start with a small area with your client, that will continue to grow out around their entire property. They're not going to like the dark areas when they've had some beautifully illuminated areas. So some pro tips that we've learned, some of these, hey, I won't take credit for all these. Some of these are integrators sharing stories with me, but position yourself early in the client's mind, like we talked about PVC sleeves, talk to the electrician about putting outlets down by the mailbox. You're doing your client a favor while the home's already tore up, and you're reducing costs later. Because it's a lot easier to run a trencher through a bunch of mud than it is through a nice yard and have to repair all that. Partner with a medium, small to medium sized landscaper in your area for labor, someone who's not doing landscape lighting. And this came from an integrator. He partners with a landscaper and he said, what we do is we go out, we lay out the whole job on top of the ground. All the wires run across the ground, it's strung everywhere. We get everything set up, meet the client in the evening, do final adjustments. And when they sign off, I call my landscaper buddy. He sends out a crew of 4 people for $600, and they bury all the cable, blow off the sidewalks, and it's like we were never there. So business partners can be good. They get access to affluent clients and high-end clients, and you get access to labor that's reasonable while your techs go on to the next project. There's some other things that go along with that. When we'll talk about recurring revenue, I think in just a second, but also, if you want to be successful at landscape lighting, get your crew to buy in. We've got a couple of cases. You don't have to use our demo cases, just order a few things, but we've got a couple demo cases you can set up at a client's home in less than 30 minutes. We recommend do your house, the owner of the integration firm's house, or pick an employee, go to their house on a Friday night and lay it out on top of the ground. We have quick connects and quick fold down stakes that go in the ground. When they see how easy it is and it's just like outdoor audio and they see the difference it makes, they now talk with conviction. And give them homework assignments. Hey, we're going to meet here. And you can do this with interior lighting, by the way, too. We're going to have a meeting once a month. I want you to bring 3 pictures of great lighting and 3 pictures of bad lighting and watch how their level of awareness gets raised. And you also get examples from around your area. So when you talk to a client, you can say, hey, down on McKinney Street, if you go down there about a half mile on the right, look at that house. Look at how those lights shine right in your eyes, or how you can't see those beautiful outdoor lanterns because they got them on full brightness. And people are going to trip and fall. But if the house right next door has all this beautiful, so you pick up tips like that you can talk to your clients about that are local, but you get your team bought in, which is the number one thing you can do.
All right, love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
You want to
So
talk to everyone about the portal?
yeah, I think Rebecca was going to jump in here, but I can as well. We do have a brand portal for marketing. You can certainly get images there. Um, Rebecca, do you want to jump in? I know you were going to talk about this for Rachel. You
Yes,
comfortable?
I know. Message from your marketing teams from WAC and one Firefly. WAC Group has a fantastic brand portal. It has a ton of great imagery, logo assets that you are free to use across your own website. In fact, many of the images that you saw during Patrick's presentation are available in this brand portal and are available for you to use. So I've included a QR code here that will take you directly to the login page. And you can follow those steps to get logged in and look through all the assets. This has way more than just outdoor lighting imagery as well. It has all of WAC's product lines for iSpire. And just a final reminder from Rachel over at WAC as well, this portal does not include any pricing information. This is purely a marketing and imagery and literature and logo assets for you to use to help sell these products.
Awesome. Great job, Rebecca, and awesome educational job, Patrick.
Hey, Ron, can I add one quick thing before you get to the
please.
bookmark? I apologize. One tip I missed when we were going through there is the recurring revenue opportunity. It's not like monthly revenue for tech services, but it's an opportunity to get back in front of your clients twice a year. I highly recommend either you or if you partner with a landscaper and prefer they do it, offer a recurring revenue option. So if it's a small to medium size, maybe it's $695, $795 a year. If it's a larger scale property, maybe it's $1495 or $1995 a year. But for that $1995 to $2,000, you go out every spring, every fall. Your guys clean the lenses off the uplights, clean leaves and debris off any in-grounds, straighten out the path lights, the pets and snow and kids have knocked out of a line. But the real thing, and make sure the system's working. Our product, you can adjust beams so as foliage grows. You can also, if it's tunable white, you can adjust any scenes for them, but also mention, oh, by the way, have you thought about an outdoor TV? Or we've got outdoor screens to enjoy that. Every time that I've had someone back in front of me at my home for any kind of work, I've got a laundry list of other additional things I can add on. So it gets you back in front of those clients twice a year.
It's brilliant, Patrick. I'll even think about my own home. I built this home. I moved in 2019, and I put in a pool in 2020 and a landscape and a landscape lighting installation. And admittedly, it is in ill repair. There are broken fixtures from the landscape company. There are bushes and trees that have overgrown over the last, at this point, almost 5 years. I'm in Florida, so when it rains, things grow like crazy. And if the installing company had approached me about an annual maintenance or biannual maintenance to come in and refine everything, I would have jumped at that opportunity. As a result, that company did not do that, and I haven't had the time or made the time to go fix it myself because I always have other things on my honey-do list. And the result is things aren't as beautiful as they were on that first day. So it's really great point.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna jump in. So Patrick was giving us a lot of the reasons that you should get into the outdoor lighting business, or you might be further inspired. Maybe you're already in the business and you're going, "Oh my goodness," but I'm not sure all my customers really know all these benefits. And so I want you to just be mindful, if nothing else, run through the thought process of what. What are the ways that you want your business to be perceived by your existing customers and those potential customers regarding outdoor landscape lighting, architectural lighting? And is it possible or conceivable that you could be more proactive getting that message out there? Patrick's just taken us through 30 minutes of really fun topics that you could likely talk with many of your existing clients or new prospects about. And so we're now going to run through in very rapid fire. We're going to run through 20 slides here of just framing from a marketing perspective how you could put this message out there to help further drive business. And Patrick, please jump in on any of these slides, any of these ideas to add your 2 cents or your experience as you've been out working with integrators across the country. But I'm gonna just kind of rapid fire through these things. I want you all to remember that if your customer is building a home or whether it's residential or commercial, for the framing here, I'll speak residential, or they're doing a remodel, or maybe whether that's remodel interior or maybe they're remodeling their exterior. That was my big project back in 2020. They are at varying points of knowing what's possible And then when they know what's possible, narrowing down to the types of solutions. And then when they gain some clarity there, narrowing down to which company would they use to do the installation. Right? This is often called the buyer's journey. I want you to think about the fact that there are types of questions and answers that you could provide as those customers or prospects are at all of these stages of the journey. And, dirty little secret, that's called marketing, right? So for you to know that and then provide those answers, that's ultimately going to help you drive business. Now, we have to first of all talk about the audience. These are always the four beats. We call it the marketing strategy framework. Is you want to think about who is that audience. Again, maybe that's existing clients, maybe it's new. What is the topic? Now, Patrick just gave us 30 minutes of topics, all fun, relevant, interesting topics that would appeal to certain market segments at different times. And the key is putting those messages out there, because some of those audiences, some of the time, are going to find them appealing, and they're ultimately going to want to make contact. The action, if you've educated them about the beauty of architectural lighting, for example, lighting the home, or, that really fun, compelling narrative that Patrick was giving us about lighting your home, for example, then what is the action that you would want someone to take? Would you want them to visit your website and maybe read a thought leadership article about that? Would you want them to schedule a meeting with a design consultant from your firm? Would you want them to maybe jump over to your website and look at the WAC Aspire landscape lighting fixture page, where you've got beautiful examples of finished projects and the type of technologies used for those installations? Lots of different fun ways to bring people to take an action that you care about. And then the key is channel. Channel is like, where are you going to be doing that communicating? And so when we go to audience, you have your existing customers. It'd be fun for you to look at the existing customers you've already served, maybe over the last 5 years, and how many of them already have everything they need regarding landscape lighting. The same question could be argued for new prospects. If you want to target a new type of customer or bringing new people into your business, what are the types of customers that you would want to bring in? You want to have crystal clarity of these audiences. And then you want to look at what story are you going to tell? What's the topic that you're going to bring up? So are you going to talk about the benefits of controlling the outdoor lighting, maybe with the lighting control system that's also tied to controlling the interior? Maybe why professionally designed lighting adds long-term value, that value argument that Patrick was making about adding lighting to a home and how it can increase property value, how it adds to safety and security. These topics can be built into what are called narratives, and that narrative then can be communicated out via the different channels. And then what are the actions? So here, schedule a lighting walkthrough, visit our website, request a design consultation, watch this video, right? Maybe you're producing video, putting it on YouTube or on your website or on social media. Read our blog article, follow us on social media so that you can see beautiful pictures of our projects as we are posting them every week, right? These are the channels. So when we're talking about activating channels, you are unlikely to be excellent at all channels all the time. So what you want to do is you want to be selective. You want to be very mindful of the audience that you're trying to get in front of. And then within your willingness to invest or the time availability you have to invest, you want to be selective in picking a handful of channels, generally more than one channel, but maybe it's only one to start. And you want to be as excellent as you can at that one channel communicating. So I'll give you a low-hanging fruit. We'll get into tactics and detail in a moment. But let's say your existing customer base, you want to make them aware that you're in the outdoor landscape lighting business and you have all these fun capabilities. Well, then doing email outreach to your customer base is a proven, highly effective way to get in front of your existing customers. Yes, I say that even though many of you and myself and Patrick get overwhelmed with our inbox and lots of emails. The reality is you're going to unsubscribe from people that you don't know, like, or trust, and you're going to likely allow for people to keep sending you emails if you do know, like, and trust them. Even if you don't read every email, you're probably going to save it. And we have a lot of data here at One Firefly to back that up. They're not likely to unsubscribe from you. So there's lots of channels that you could be active on. You ultimately just want to be selective in terms of where you're going to put your message out. That's going to help you get the best return on investment for your efforts. So if we focus on those existing clients, I'm now going to rapid fire through some tactics that you should be mindful of. And number one is your website. Does your website today communicate through messaging, imagery, video, content, education, example projects that you're in the outdoor landscape lighting business? If the answer is no, that's good. It means there's room to improve. So I would take a look at your website and getting that content up on your website. In terms of producing educational content, we at One Firefly are big advocates of a couple of strategies. I'll go back to the web strategy, actually putting commonly asked questions and answers in the form of an FAQ on your website. That's great for the visitor on your website. It's also great for the search engines. So that's just generally really good content to do or to put on the site. And then in terms of outreach to your customers, posting content into a blog, not necessarily for search engine performance, but so that it exists and is easily sortable and findable, and then linking to those articles through your emails and your social media post, you're ultimately going to be able to basically create a repository or a depth or well of information about this particular subject, outdoor landscape lighting, but it really could be fill in the blank. Any solution, service, or brand that you care about should live in that type of vehicle. And then social media. In terms of social media, there's really two primary types of formats in social media. I'll keep it high level here. One is organic posting. You can organic post on pages, in reels, in stories. I don't want to get too technical here, but it's important to note that the social media platform is going to drive the visibility of those posts with different algorithms. They're going to give you access to different types of cohorts, from people that either follow you on social media to maybe discovery type audiences, particularly if you get engagement, likes, clicks, comments on your post, then you're going to see that content get exposed to a wider and wider audience, which can be quite positive. Here's an example, client Y Clients out of Seattle, and they're driving a WAC outdoor landscape lighting message.
And around that picture of the Black Mirror effect, that was a Y Pliant's job that we showed earlier with the into the living room, and then that was a Y Pliant's job. They shared those pictures with us, and just enough why since you mentioned them, there's some others that are really good on social media. Capital Technology Group, Sound Vision, they're all over with some of the landscape jobs they've done, and it's just exploded for them. To your point.
Now, thank you, Patrick. That was great. One of the limits to social media organic is that getting your content out to a wider reach, it's hard, and you actually probably have less people seeing that content than you think, unless you can really get that or that engagement going and that distribution of your content out through the engagement sharing. Paid social, paying meta is the way to ultimately design target audiences and get your content out to a much wider audience. You'll see that presented to you as impressions. You have the ability for your content to appear in people's feeds. And paid social media is the proactive way. I'm not going to go down and say this is lead gen. We haven't seen a great deal of experience with that at One Firefly for lead gen. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It's just not the primary purpose. But it's a very powerful way to drive branding and visibility for your business at a very low cost per click. You can drive significant volumes of traffic into your website for nominal spends, at least if we compare that to like Google advertising. So it's more of a top of funnel strategy than a bottom funnel strategy, but it absolutely has value in what we would call an integrated marketing system. And then email. I started with email even before we went to the slide. We are big advocates, and generally any agency, any marketer, any business that is really trying to drive the visibility of a local service business to stay in front of their existing customers and relationships, email marketing is a powerhouse strategy. It's a low cost, high impact way for you to do that subliminal plant of your brand and message in front of your audience. Why should you care about this? Because your customers are the ones most likely to buy from you again. They are the easiest next dollar for you, right? It costs a lot less money for you to sell to your existing customer than to find a new customer. And it is ultimately a very powerful, underutilized strategy by many, many people in our industry. And so we're big fans, big advocates of email marketing. And then if you want higher levels of performance, you will further segment your lists down. So segmenting means designing smaller and smaller cohorts or lists that are more and more targeted. Maybe they live in this particular city or town or neighborhood, or maybe they're customers and then prospects. Maybe it's design community members and customers, right? The more segmented you can design your email, then the more targeted your messaging and the more productive, the higher conversion rates you'll see on that form of marketing. And then if you look at the new audience, meaning I want to bring in new customers to my business. And for many of you, this is a high priority right now. Like you really want to bring in new business. Well, then let's look at some of those strategies. One of the best return on investments in marketing for small business is in this term called search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is the concept that your website and your brand, it's more than just your website, because there's also your local SEO, which is other entities around the internet beyond your website. But it's that your business is showing up when people are online doing search and research. And so I'll just keep it at a high level. You go and do a lot of really good SEO, not the fake SEO, but real original content creation, presenting true value on the internet. Then even when you stop doing that, that is a flywheel, a momentum, a flywheel that has mass, and it keeps spinning for quarters or in many cases years beyond the initial investment, meaning it's driving the visibility of your business and ultimately delivering fruit, meaning people find you, they conduct that search, they find you, they make contact. And so the tail, the dividend to your business from an SEO investment can last years. And for many, many businesses in our industry, it absolutely lasts years because there aren't many businesses doing it. What has happened now is the game is different. It's different in a very interesting way, in that more and more people in society, maybe many of you. So Patrick, I'm actually going to look at you and ask you this question. I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Do you use ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or any of these search engines or these LLMs?
The chat GPT a little bit. I'm not as versed as I should be, Ron. I will tell you that 100%.
That's okay. I'm not going to make you teach a class on
Yes.
ChatGPT, but you
But
do
I'll tell
use
you,
it. You'll use it on
yes.
occasion.
And I'll give you an example when you talk about websites and how it pertains to this. I live in a very rural area. Tree guys are a dime a dozen, and you never know who's going to show up or what kind of job they're going to do. And I'll search, I'll find a website, and I'll judge a business based on how their website appears to me versus some guy who's got a card posted in the local bar restaurant and no website whatsoever. So, but yes, I do.
So the data around this, to keep this high level, folks, is that the work that you do in forms of quality SEO work, meaning building quality backlinks, working on your local SEO and directory listings, adding original valuable content to your website, those type of activities are not only driving the visibility of your business in traditional search, think Google, they are absolutely impacting the visibility of your business in all of the AI LLMs. There's dramatic, superlative, exciting data coming out. I'll just give you a couple. I'm going to throw a couple of facts at you guys. Number one is Google search traffic right now is decreasing for the first time in history. single digit, small, but it is decreasing. AI search is growing triple digits every quarter. And there's now statements coming out from some of the people that are reading the tea leaves that are talking about potentially search traffic volume from the LLMs surpassing Google by 2028. And so if that becomes true, partially true or fully true, I recommend everyone go into your ChatGPT account, type in a query that represents a customer in their buying journey looking for a service provider in your market for landscape lighting. And do you show up in that on that page one of results, or do your competitors? You can run the same query in Google, and depending on what you find, you might want to put in place a strategy to start impacting your visibility. Highly recommend. All right, keep on moving. So Google Ads are still a very powerful way to show up right at the top and the bottom of page one of search. If you go back to this diagram, if you want to fully control the experience when a consumer knows they want to do landscape lighting, they know they want to light their home, but they don't know either what products to use or they don't know what contractor or firm to hire, they're out there in the world doing search. If you want to control the narrative, then you want to be found in all three places. And so that's the concept around Google Ads. Are Google Ads expensive? Yes, they are expensive. But if they are designed and optimized, they should be delivering what's called a return on ad spend, meaning they should be netting you more business than they are costing you. And that's the key to either an effective campaign and agency that's managing it, and the idea that in your market there are in fact people searching. And so you wanna look at that as a strategy to drive this. And I think that was the last topic. So here, one Firefly and Patrick, and I say Patrick's team, Patrick, WAC Aspire is more than Patrick. He's got a wonderful team. Partnered. We partnered last year officially, press releases and whatnot. It launched these webinars. And one Firefly are providing all WAC Aspire dealers that are accredited at the silver, gold, platinum level and new dealers marketing credit that can be applied to any products or services at one Firefly. Patrick, do you want to just speak to why you felt it appropriate to form this collaboration?
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons, but just to keep it short, Ron, we've seen a lot of times mistakes that are made is people go into a product category, and I shared a story with you earlier, and they won't tell anybody or they don't know how to get the message out. I have an integrator who was in lighting for several years, but if you went to his website, it didn't talk about lighting anywhere. And so getting that message out is so imperative to our success, your success, because we're obviously tied to the dealers, and if they are successful, we are. So one of the biggest mistakes is that people don't know it's a service you offer, and if they don't think of you for that, then they're not going to get that. So to be able to represent the product in the best possible way, and again, as you said, answer questions ahead of time. What's the difference between a Home Depot landscape system and what you offer? You can talk about the quality of the systems, the programmability, setting scenes. You don't have to do Christmas lights anymore. The system can go red and green on December 1 and on December 31 back to the standard white scene throughout. So there's a lot of different advantages, but this helps the dealer address that, because I know that if I own my own integration business, I wouldn't even know where to start when it comes to this style of advertising and representation.
I appreciate that. I want to remind all of you, and Patrick has a position on this as well, that we can learn from each other. It's why we do these webinars. It's why Patrick and I teach and train all over the country at different events. It is why when Firefly created the podcast Automation Unplugged way back in April of 2017. And we've been putting out, at least for the last couple of years, a show every week. So you can watch it on YouTube. You can read and watch it on our webpage. You can listen. So if you're a listener, maybe as you're rolling to your next job site or between job sites and you like to listen, I am interviewing leaders from around the industry. I've interviewed Patrick. Here you're seeing Tom, the man behind putting on the Lightapalooza show. Tom is with former founder of Cedia, but he's with HTSA. There's integrators, consultants, thought leaders, at varying levels of experience in our industry that are on this podcast. It's out there it's just sharing with you all to help you learn and grow from each other. So I recommend, if you haven't, tune into Automation Unplugged. And there you have it. I think what we're going to do is bring Rebecca back, and she's going to help us field questions. I think we still have maybe 8 minutes of time. So
Yeah, Ron, can I share a couple parting thoughts, or I'll call them
please.
parting shots? Yeah. So a couple of things when you guys, the other integrators are using successfully, when you do a landscape lighting job and you're out there doing that final adjustment, maybe with the homeowner, or you're done, go knock on the door, the neighbor's doors, and give them a card and say, hey, I'm Rebecca with One Firefly Landscape Lighting, and I'm adjusting your neighbor's lights. And if any of them shine in your yard or shine in your bedroom, if there's any issues, here's my card. Give me a call, aka when you're ready to do your house. If you're 5 blocks away, I think it's called soliciting. But if you're at the immediate neighbors talking about any, so you could spread the word that way, whether you have a sign in the yard while you're doing it. It's amazing how that starts to grow once you've done one home in a community. So it's a great opportunity to consider. And again, it's a whole nother business for you guys. You just be sure you tell people you do it. You got to get the message out there, or they won't think of you for that. Sorry, Rebecca, please.
Oh, it's brilliant.
No, great insights. And yeah, as we have a couple minutes for questions, so please, if you have any, feel free to drop them directly into the chat or the Q&A. And as a reminder too, you can see both of these fine gentlemen next week in person, live and in person at Lightapalooza, when Firefly will be exhibiting on the show floor, as well WACI Spire. So if you think of anything after this webinar, feel free to stop by and ask in person.
Yeah,
We do
Rebecca,
have
by the way,
yeah.
I thank you for posting that Facebook site. I have no vested interest in that other than it's a great collaborative of people. It's a nobody's making any money off it, but to share ideas and really get the pictures. Use pictures to your advantage. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, as you saw some of the images we've shown. We've got a collection of images. They're not all on the brand portal, but you can reach out to myself or any of the WAC regional managers or reps. We can get you some pictures, and you can utilize those however you'd like to.
Yeah, thank you. And let me see I see someone in the chat asking for the link to the brand portal. Okay, so Adam already dropped it. Thank you, sir. All right, we did have a couple questions come in. Patrick, I'm gonna toss this one to you. Someone is just asking about the design element, how to handle design if they're new in this space. Do they need to have a full-time designer on staff in order to do this well?
Yes, and the answer is no, you don't have to. As long as you can speak to it, and that can be a couple of items you try in your yard, get your confidence, or go out and take a drive around at night and look at some jobs and see the difference it makes so you can speak confidently to your clients. We'll do all the design work. So blueprints are great if you have an exterior plan. If you have an address, we can use Google Earth as long as there's not a big full tree canopy where we can't see the yard. Pictures are wonderful, and not pictures real close to of one bush, but a picture of the front of the house. And here's where power is. And then we can, even using Google Earth, we can get some estimates of wire runs, and we'll do all that design work for you. So that's not a problem at all. Again, we have an intake form that we ask you to fill out. But as you get comfortable, landscape lighting is artistry. There's no like one right way and one wrong way to do it. It's all about imagining a scene, a home, and putting a black screen over it, and then you're painting with light. I want to light this tree. I want to have some path lights that fill in this picture. I want some lights on the garage, and we're creating an entire scene. And a lot of times, even in a design, the customer will say, oh, there's still a dark spot right there. I want to put something there. And so we size transformers to be able to add on to the system. It just continues to grow. So we will help with that. There are other integration companies or companies in the CI channel that do landscape lighting. They offer design as well. So you're not out there on your own as far as hiring someone who can just do that. A lot of integrators are moving towards someone who specializes in lighting and getting lighting education, but you have people to lean on for that. We'll help you with that.
Thank you. And then Ron, I have a question for you, also kind of in this category of being new to this space. How can we position ourselves as credible in landscape and outdoor lighting if it's very new for our company, we don't have any projects or photography yet?
Act as if. Act as if. In other words, if someone comes across your brand on your website uh, on your social media, in any of the places you might appear online. Lead and at a minimum have the educational content there, the demonstration of projects. Like let's say you don't have your own projects, then you could utilize, for example, WAC's image gallery, and you could present it as a landscape idea gallery. Right? You don't have to say it's yours. They're not your projects, but you have best in class partners and you're sharing ideas and inspiration. And yes, absolutely, it's a type of work we do. And then if people say, well, why aren't your jobs there? Well, a lot of our clients don't let us photograph our projects. I mean, I've heard that line from so many people. I think I hear it once a day, and I've heard it once a day for like the last 18 years. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's just an excuse. But regardless, it's a good line. And so put it on your website, put it in your newsletter, put it in your blogs, put it on your social media, advertise around it, and you are going to attract what you want, which are clients that are looking for best in class integration companies to do their landscape lighting.
Yeah, I would add too, Rebecca. I know of two integrators specifically that have clients they've done enormous amounts of work for. And they went to those clients and said, hey, by the way, we're moving into the landscape lighting category. And the homeowner was interested and said, where do we start? Let's learn together. And so they maybe will cut a deal on that first project. It's a learning project for them. It's a client that trusts them. I mean, ultimately, the integrator is who they trust, and it's a technology partner. And this would be no different. You're going to follow it through to the end. But the website, I think, is more of an idea of what can be achieved, what you could have, what can be done, the beauty that it brings, and things like that. So there's a couple of different ways I've known integrators to approach that.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. That is all that we have for questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And as a reminder, I will send out a copy of this recording and deck so that you can have all of this content to rewatch or relook at. Ron, Patrick, thank you both. This was a fantastic webinar. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well.
Look forward to seeing you, Patrick, and you, Rebecca, and many of you out there next week in Austin at Lightapalooza.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Ron. And thank you to everybody who took the time to join us today. Appreciate it. Hope this helps you grow your business.
Amen.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.